What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Ben Thomas Show. Thanks for coming back. Guys, happy July 4th weekend to all of my American viewers and friends out there. Today, it was an exciting day because I got my DX30 Black Adam figure in from Hot Toys, and it's an absolute beast. And I got up on Saturday morning and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to record a video and unbox this bad boy. So guys, if you like the video, hit the like button for me. Smash the subscribe if you're new to the Ben Thomas Show, and let's get into it.
I want you to tell all your friends about me.
What are you?
I'm Ben Thomas.
Go time! Here we go, here we go, here we go!
So let's start by saying that this box is deceptively large. I compared it here to the Loki box, and you can see the size difference. It's wild. So if you guys store your boxes, it's definitely something to note. Now, it's a beautiful box, but I even had a hard time fitting it into my light box overall. I've got big hands. You can see this completely encompasses them. Some of the blue lightning on this DX30, which is the black suited Black Adam that has the hood shrouded just like the look from the beginning of the film where he absolutely destroys those mercenaries. To be honest, that was my favorite look for Black Adam, even though the gold accessories of the DX31 actually do resemble the comic book era a little bit more for sure. Now, of course, I want to get this shown to you guys because for me, a premium unboxing experience is still the black foam. I don't care what anybody says. I love the feel of it when you open the box. It's absolutely beautiful. And the presentation is so much nicer in my opinion than the clamshell. When I pull out the additional accessory that came with this deluxe version, this is that People's Eyebrow Rock head sculpt or Dwayne Johnson head sculpt that has the rolling eyes. And while I don't think he actually makes this expression in the film, at least not from my recent recollection, I'm still happy to have it because again, it resembles Dwayne, of course. Now, getting the figure out of the black foam, I gotta say, he's a heavy boy. And when I get the plastic off the additional head sculpt here, I see Dwayne in both. Now, I'm going to compare both sculpts here in a bit, but yeah, I'm really liking what I'm seeing here. I think this definitely looks like Dwayne Johnson from the film. Now, when I pull all the plastic off and I get a chance to feel that kind of bodysuit, you realize how filled out it actually is. There's not as much of that air gap barrier as there is in something like the Venom, for example. This feels like a really hefty body underneath. And while for some reason my guy seems to be lacking in the ass region for some reason here, his legs are wildly large. The boots are split cut, so you're going to be able to get at least a little bit of posing out of it there. I'm going to put him on the flight pole later and show you guys what that looks like. Because honestly, they don't bend as much as Superman would, for example. But yeah, wow, this looks really, really good. And honestly, just this neck piece is wild. Now, when you pull the head sculpt off, you do see this plastic clear bit underneath, which is going to limit articulation of the head, and I'll show you guys that later. But even up close under the light box here, attached to the neck, like look at the veininess and the bulk in that neck. It's wild. And I love it. Now you can also see all of the different writing on the outfit, which I do think looks really good, especially under bright lighting, but does disappear a little bit in the display. The articulation here in the shoulders is going to be limited. You could put the arm out straight. I hate these armbands that they use. I get that it resembles the character from the film, but they always slide down and drive me a little nuts. You're going to see also some bunching here, and that's just a factor of this being a figure, unfortunately, especially in the legs, kind of around the hips there. You can't get much articulation out of him. He goes out to about there. That's about it. I wouldn't want to risk ripping the seam out of it, to be honest. but the leg bulk is wild. I think probably the biggest figure I have, next to something like a Thanos or Venom, of course, but standard actor size person, yeah, this is by far the bulkiest. I'm even going to show you guys a little bit later here, I think, him up against John Cena's Peacemaker. Now, you can see the wrist joints at certain times, but you can bring those gauntlets down and not worry about that too much. Once again, though, you see that this keeps sliding down and it's driving me freaking nuts. In fact, I may just take it off, to be honest. I don't think most people are going to notice in the display itself. But I think the art with this figure is going to be in the subtle posing. The ability to roll the eyes and look in a direction just gives him that Dwayne Johnson presence as Black Adam. But let's look at these head sculpts when you compare them, because I'm not sure I like one more than the other. They both, to me, at different angles, resemble Dwayne Johnson. I think the one on the right is actually still my favorite, the one that doesn't have his people's eyebrow look. And only because the sculpt that has that eyebrow look, his eye is a little bulgy looking in a weird way. But both have the rolling eye system, so you can play with it to see if you can get a little bit better. Here you can see that both compared look pretty awesome. The one on the right, the eye's a little out of whack right now, so if I kind of tweak this eye and maybe give him the stare off to the side, let's see what that looks like in comparison. You see, I think I still like the sculpt on the right better. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Do you have a preference on either sculpt? I'd be curious. But again, I think the subtle posing here is going to be the magic. Now look at the paint applications on the neck, the vein work, the forehead wrinkles, the flared nose. It looks really good. From the prototype originally, I thought that the nose was actually too flared, and they toned that down here for the final release, and I think, to be honest, they crushed it. It looks really, really good. Even the ears look really cool. I'll say that depending on the pose and the angle, you can really hide that neck seam and get that realistic look. I think this is the only figure I have that has a neck like that. Now the tray accessory that comes up underneath the figure, again, in the Lightbox is pretty huge, so it's hard to show you guys. I'm going to show you what this hood looks like on shortly with the cape. The throne base here is one of the other reasons that I got this figure as a deluxe form. And in hand, you guys can see I've got big hands. This thing fills it out. It's a huge and heavy display, but the figure is also really huge. And so I'll be curious to see how it actually stands up on this base itself. If you try and sit the figure onto the base though, it doesn't work very well as a throne. And it's a little bit disappointing, to be honest. It almost feels kind of small. You're going to have to stand him at the very least, but this is again a crushed throne, so you can't give him that iconic seating pose. And his flexibility is a little bit lackluster. And even if you wanted him leaned back like this, you can't tilt his head down, so he looks like he's staring up in the air. It just doesn't look good at all in the sitting pose. I guess you could bend him over the back like he lost his sunglasses behind his chair, but I don't know if you're going to want to display it that way. But then standing him up on the base, you realize that the real estate for his feet is actually quite small. And he stands so high on the throne that it seems a little bit weird. But I mean, to be honest, now that I've got it in hand, I don't think I'm going to display this base. I watched the movie recently, and he crushes this throne as a matter of principle. So, I don't know, it's probably going to stay in the box now that I have it in hand. And I'm happy they gave us that rock to hide that hole. The hands are well painted, they look good, they match the skin tone of the character, which is great. I compared these hands though to the Loki hand sculpt, and they are shockingly large. You can literally take the one hand sculpt and put it inside the palm of the Black Adam hand sculpt, which is insane. And you can see how much more tanned The Rock is, at least in comparison to Tom Hiddleston, so it's kind of a funny thing to note. But again, the texturing, even the finger details there is pretty impressive. I have to give it the credit where credit is due. Now let's take out the cloak here, because I'm curious what the material is, and to be honest, it's actually a really nice feeling material. There is quite a bit of wiring in the edges, so depending on if you display your character with this robe, with this on, I think you're going to be able to make it look like it's at least a windy day. There's also wiring in and around the hood, so hopefully I can get it laid flat enough. If you pop the neck peg out of the figure, you can see kind of what it looks like here, and I think it looks really cool. I love that accessory, but you don't actually have to take the neck off in order to get the cloak on. And honestly, once it's on here, it does look pretty good. Now, I had futzed it quite a bit. It does still pop up a little high at the top of the head. If you wanted to display it with the hood down, you could also. I'd be curious to see if over time the robe did actually stain the skin. I've seen that happen with Jedi figures in the past, so I don't know if I'll actually leave it permanently displayed this way, and if I were to use a little bit of blue tack, I might be able to stick that down well enough. The seam at the back, if you open this up, this is where you're going to be able to slot the wiring in to actually illuminate the chest. Now this is a USB-C function, which is awesome. You click this into this little kind of battery pack, and you can plug it into the wall. Now, it doesn't come with a USB cord, so I hope you have one, because if you do want to put him on the display, it can look really, really good once it's on and he's up on the display stand and everything, but you have to be pretty close to an outlet, and you have to supply your own USB. And honestly, as cool as it is, I don't want to worry about running wires, so I'll probably leave mine off. But let's take a look at what it looks like with the lights dimmed, and you can see it's still actually a very bright light. It does look really good. Now, just so you guys are aware, I originally plugged this USB into my computer, and the computer wasn't powerful enough to run it. I actually had to put it on like a brick in the wall socket itself. So I thought maybe my lighting system was broken. It was not. I do think it looks really, really good though. I wish I could leave this more permanently displayed. I really hope that in the future Hot Toys gives us, something like a stand, for example, where you can put your figure on it and it automatically illuminates it without having to run wires and everything. I'd pay for heftier batteries if that was the case. Now for my figure, because he comes with the blue lightning, I'm showing it here for the sake of the review, but I'm not going to put it on the figure. I tend to break these and I don't love the look of them. It cheapens it for me. When I stand him next to John Cena's Peacemaker, which was previously one of the most muscular and largest figures in my collection, you can see that Dwayne Johnson still really is much larger in figure format than John here. But I love the fact that these are two former wrestlers who are now superheroes in the DC universe. I think that that's pretty great. I would love to see these guys in a movie together at some point, but I don't know if we're going to ever see that now that James Gunn has taken over. Who knows? Maybe we'll see. But I think Dwayne Johnson's time as Black Adam is likely coming to an end. But I would say this is one of my favorite figures of the year so far. Despite the figure having some challenges with the articulation, you can't sit him on the throne like I kind of envisioned in my mind's eye you might be able to do. The figure is still fantastic. Like I said, it's one of my favorites of this year. The Dwayne Johnson likeness is wildly good, especially in person. The heft of the figure, the presence is really good. I didn't love the film, but I like Black Adam as a character. I wish The Rock had chosen to do the little widow's peak hairstyle like the actual Black Adam from the comics, but even still, this looks really good in the display, and I'm happy I picked this one up. But guys, I want to hear from you. Did you choose the one that maybe has the gold accents, the DX31? Did you go with the black suited version like I did with the blue lightning? I'd love to hear what you guys are thinking or what is coming to the collection for you guys next. If you guys liked the video though, hit the like button for me, smash the subscribe if you're new to the Ben Thomas Show. Once again, happy Independence Day weekend to my American viewers and friends. I hope you're having a safe and happy holiday out there. And to everybody else, I love your faces. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we will catch you guys on the next one. Have a great weekend, guys.
Wow, what a great audience. Be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, because subscribing makes you feel good.
Where shall I go? What shall I do?
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
It's gone. It's all gone.